Welcome to Craft and Crashouts with your co-hosts Mick and Ari. We are both writers trying to become traditionally published, and on this podcast, we meet every week to discuss craft, progress, and what we are currently crashing out about.
Okay, what are you reading this week, Mick?
I'm not reading anything this week.
Okay.
I was coming into this and I'm like, I'm not reading anything right now. No, I'm not reading anything. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, and actually I've been trying to study a lot of Spanish lately.
Ooh,
And that's taken
like
up
Duolingo?
I mean, Duolingo, but it only gets you so far.
Yeah.
And then my husband recommends doing these on Spotify. I listen to them, and there's other podcasts on Apple Podcasts too of listening to conversations in Spanish. So I've been doing a lot of that instead of listening to an audiobook. But today I'm actually going to go to the library, and because I don't have a library, I have a library card. Whoa, let me preface. I have a library card. Of course I do, to every system near me that I can get. But I have been a member at my local library for so long that my keychain card was so scratched up and I can't use it anymore. So I just use my ID, but I don't know my actual library card number anymore. So I think I'm going to stop in and get my number, because did you know for most, everyone check, you can get free Rosetta Stone through your library. Yeah. I had a goal this year that I've been failing miserably and remembered in the last month and a half to really take my studying Spanish more seriously. So I haven't been reading, but I've been listening to a lot of Spanish conversations instead of audiobooks this week, and going to start adding in Rosetta Stone. But it does remind me that I need to pick something new for my bookshelf for the end of the year. Finish out strong.
I feel like studying a new language, it really works your brain, in various ways. And I love that you're listening to conversational Spanish too, because it's true. The Duolingo, Rosetta Stone, they can only get you so far. And it's also the speed with which people talk in conversation is a game changer too.
Yeah, when me and my husband and I went on our honeymoon, we were in Paris for one day because it made the flights cheaper to where we actually went. And I, unfortunately, between the two of us, am the resident French speaker. My husband is way better at Spanish, so he will take over when I panic in Spanish-speaking countries. And I, unfortunately, am the French speaker. I took it in college. I used to be really good. It is so rusty now, especially because I've been focusing on Spanish the last few years. My French it's fading.
It's so hard.
And French speakers speak so fast. You only pronounce half the word half the time. Oh my gosh, I still I'm getting panicked thinking about it. So I really bullshitted my way through Paris, but it worked. I can read French very, very, very well.
That's amazing.
It's the ear, it's listening to people speaking that I'm I got maybe 2 words of that, but I will guess.
So hard. Really, I find languages if you don't use it, you lose it. So quickly. That's the scariest part about it. It's you go 2 weeks, a month.
Mm-hmm.
Done.
Yeah.
My dad is from Hungary, and he speaks a ton of different languages. I think he speaks 7 different languages or something. And him and my mom, they went traveling. They went to Budapest, and he could not remember the word for pepper.
Oh my gosh.
And this poor man was agonized by the fact that he couldn't remember this one word. Mind you, he had been living in the United States for 40 years and probably hadn't spoken Hungarian in a decade plus. But he was I can't believe I couldn't remember the word. Even in a language I grew up speaking. It's crazy.
That is crazy. And it's so true. If you don't use it, you lose it. I was actually just before we hopped on, I was talking to my husband. We should adopt this practice that my brother-in-law and his fiance have done, because they also have been trying to learn Spanish and like level it up. And for a couple months, they only could text each other in Spanish.
I love that level of dedication.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, maybe we need to do that because my husband's out of the house a lot of the day and I'm like home. So we usually are like texting back and forth. I'm like, nope, we need to like only communicate in Spanish because yeah, we need to like find more ways to be speaking Spanish
Mhm.
conversationally to each other. Like when you're learning
Yeah,
language, like you said, like any language, just trying to be more in conversation instead of like flashcarding it and like learning
100%.
vocabulary. It's more about like putting sentences together and listening to what people are saying, responding, all of that. So I'll let you know how
100%.
Rosetta Stone goes.
Please do, and, like, kudos to you guys. Like, I have such a hard time with languages, so please let us know how it goes.
I really
What you
love learning languages, but I'm
Yeah.
slow learner with languages.
Yeah. For me, I feel like, I code at work, and
Mhm.
I code in, like, a couple different languages, and, like, the main ones are, like, Python and R, and between the 2, I'm like, I have such a hard time with, like, conversational languages, and then it's like coding languages, I feel like it's actually, like, not that dissimilar, but it's like I have such a hard time switching between the 2, and I feel like that can be really similar for, like, Romance languages like French and Spanish because, like, a lot of the syntax is really similar, and you can never remember which rule goes for which language, and so then you wind up, like, switching them up, like, unintentionally.
Yes.
And so, like, I find it's, like, also juggling multiple at the same time is actually, like, so much harder than just, like, going all in on one, and, yeah, it's just a pain, so kudos to you for doing it in your free time because I have to do it for work, and I'm just like,
We'll see. We'll see if it goes anywhere. I'd love to learn Slovenian. That's like
mm,
we're the only people in my family that don't speak Slovenian,
yeah.
and everyone else in my family does.
Are both of your parents?
No, just like my mom's side, so like my grandmother immigrated over here from Slovenia, but when
Mhm.
she immigrated, she didn't teach my
Mm,
mom Slovenian because so sad. She was worried they would be made fun of if they had an accent. And
yeah,
everyone else in my mom's side of the family, like we're in Cleveland and everyone else is like in the New York area. And they didn't worry about that as much. So like they all grew up speaking Slovenian in the home. And now
yeah,
all of their kids, like all of like my age family members also speak Slovenian because then their parents taught it to them. And so we
yeah.
are quite literally like the only ones in my family who don't speak it. And that is a hard language. It is like the Romance languages, like the structure and the rules I can grasp. Slavic languages, like, miss me with all of that. So,
Yeah, yeah.
that is
Mhm.
really difficult, and they also, like nowhere has, like, Slovenian on it because
Oh, really?
it's such a small country. Like, no one
Yeah.
speaks it
That's
except
so
for
interesting, though.
Slovenians, you know? So, even, like, I that's where we went on our honeymoon, bringing it full circle, and we were there for,
Yeah.
like, a week, and everyone there speaks English too because, like, no one really speaks Slovenian. So, yeah.
This is our petition to bring Slovenian to,
Yeah.
like, Duolingo and Rosetta Stone.
Yeah,
That's
I
such a
know.
shame, like, it should be on there.
I agree, but it's okay. Okay, what are you reading?
Okay, so I'm almost done with Gideon the Ninth on audiobook, and I recently started reading Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir on my Kindle. And I think we'll talk about this a little later when like, what we're working on this week, but I've just been, like, craving sci-fi. And I've heard such good things about Andy Weir. I mean, like, he wrote The Martian, which I still haven't read, but I saw the movie. And, yeah, I just saw it on Kindle, and I was, like, in bed wanting to read something. I was like, "Oh, yeah, let's do this." And it is great. I don't think this is a spoiler, but, like, it starts out with the main character not knowing a lot about his situation, but he does it in such a, like, interesting and craftful way that you're not like, "Oh, this is annoying. This is like, the character loses its memory trope." I think he does, like, a really, really good job, and I'm really enjoying it.
Ooh, okay, because 'cause they're
Yeah.
making a movie for this one too, right?
Mhm.
I haven't
Yeah.
read any Andy Weir, but a lot of my friends love him and say his sci-fi is great. And I love
Yeah.
a good sci-fi read.
I love a good sci-fi read, and I feel like his prose isn't overly flowery, or it's definitely like bare minimum prose, and it's very functional, and it
Mhm.
really works. And so I think it's been really nice actually to kind of flip between different books where like there are such different prose styles. So like Project Hail Mary, kind of like bare bones, whereas like I feel like Our Share of Night is definitely, it's not flowery, I would say, but it definitely does a little bit more, especially like with description and setting. And so it's just been really interesting to kind of like swap between two books with very different prose styles, which are both still just like very solid, interesting, intriguing books with like great premises and characters. And I feel like it was really helpful for me because I feel like I'm constantly always thinking about like, what is my pro style? Like, I don't think I'm like
Yeah.
overly flowery. I think I actually like lean more towards the more functional side, at least in beginning drafts. And so it's been really nice to actually see that you can fall on this wide spectrum of options and like it still be a very good, interesting, fun read, you know?
Yeah, that's actually a really good point about prose style. Because I'm thinking of, I know you haven't read the Red Rising series yet,
Hmm. Yeah.
but that's something I always think about with Pierce Brown. And I love this series. His prose style is so straight to the point. It is
Yeah.
concise, it is clear. And it's funny because I don't know, I'm a defender of both prose styles. Like I think I've
Yeah.
said it before here or on my other podcast. I will always defend flowery prose, purple prose.
Yeah.
I love it. But then there's something to be said about being able to be purple prosy and very clear and concise
Mhm.
with your
Exactly.
words. And so, yeah, that's interesting that you're like, you bounced between two. So
Yeah.
do you think you do both? Do you think you lean towards one more than the other?
I think I definitely lean towards very clean, like non-flowery, but I also think that's in part because I'm an underwriter and I actually really underwrite setting and like description. Like I have to actively force myself to do that in a scene because I don't do a very good job of like grounding the reader in setting and description. So that's like something I actively work on. I enjoy like pretty prose. I think just like when I'm drafting and I'm not really thinking about it, it is very like this happens, then this happens, and then he does this,
Mhm.
feels this, or then they think this, or whatever it is. And I think that will probably maybe change on like iterations because I'm a kind of drafter where at the beginning, like I don't care about my sentence level, anything, because I know everything is going to change. So I can't get attached to sentences because it's gone. Like that's all going to be gone. But like as I hone in, like I think I might get more specific with sentences. And that's when the actual prose style will come out. But who knows? You know? How about you?
I don't know. I was thinking about it while you were talking too. And also, like I was thinking about your writing when you were talking. I do think
Mhm.
you have good like purpley prose moments though. Like you describe like emotions very well, I feel
Thank
like.
thank you.
But I think it's interesting because I feel like we're opposite then again
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
drafting, whereas like again, we are different. A good reminder that everyone writes differently. Because
Mhm.
in my first draft, and that's what I've been struggling with, I think why I'm just like, this does not feel like a book because I really do, it's like mostly setting and
Mm.
atmosphere because I can visualize everything. So I'm like painting the scene, but then I
Yeah.
lose like, where is everyone? How are they emotionally feeling right now? Are they speaking? I swear to God, sometimes they're not speaking. So I like overdo setting in my first draft, and then we'll
Okay.
have to like tone it down and add in like the people.
That's so funny. That's so funny
Yeah.
because, like, from the chapters that I've read from you too, though, like, I feel like you do have such a good balance of the 2.
But those are the good chapters. You read
Valid,
chapter 1 through
valid.
3, and those are amazing. Those
Chef's
I'm like,
kiss.
I love these chapters. I don't want them to change at all. Once you
Yeah.
get past chapter 3, everything looks real choppy on the page.
You wanna know? I feel like you're very and I feel like you've said this about other reads too, is like you're very there for vibes. And so I
Yeah.
feel like maybe you're sketching out the vibes of your scenes with like description and like the
Mhm.
imagery of the place because like you're a very vibe focused writer. That makes total sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. But I don't know about, like, prose style. I do know
Yeah.
that sometimes I maybe not purple prosy, but it can feel poetic
Mm.
because I repeat things a lot,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
sometimes I like how it sounds.
Yeah.
I do get worried though when I start to create this book, people are gonna try to change that out of me, and I'm like, "No, I love it."
I feel like
Trying
it's
to
a
find an
very
example.
common technique.
Right? I love it
Yeah.
when people do that. I don't
I
even know how to
don't think
describe
it's
it.
uncommon, and I feel like it really is for punchiness and
Yes.
really having that emotion or that feeling sink in for a reader.
But I guess that's voice more, huh? Because I guess, like, or could it still be prose style, or are they the same? I don't know. I guess I don't really focus on purple prose or clear writing yet. It's more like
Yeah.
I like to vary my sentence length. Does that make sense?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that that's a really good strategy. I think it's so interesting because it's like at what I always love to ask people, like, at what stage are you thinking of line level details?
Mhm.
Because I feel like for some people, it's like draft one, like you're thinking line level. I feel like even for you, Mick, like it's like draft one, draft two, like you're thinking line level. I feel like increasingly it's going to be like, I'm not going to be worried about line level until like draft five.
Oh, I
That's
wish
what
I
it's
had your
looking
brain.
like right now. What did you say?
I wish I had your brain.
No, it's chaos. I actually hate it.
No, but I do think it's interesting, like, when do you think of line level? Because I know you're also taking CC Lyra's course right
Yes.
now
I
on
have not
non-label
watched it,
writing. That's okay.
but have you?
Honestly, no, I didn't take this one, but I've taken a lot, like, almost every other
Yeah.
one of her courses this year, and
Yeah.
I never make it live because it's, like, so late, and she goes for, like, 3.5 hours. It's amazing content. I always watch it way later, but
Yeah.
yeah, I guess I don't know if I necessarily think about line level where I'm like, "How can I say this best?" It's
Mhm.
more that I am critiquing line level still on draft 1. Like, I get annoyed that this sounds "amateur," quote, unquote, for lack of a better term,
Yes.
draft 1. But when I don't think about line level, sometimes I read back and I'm like, "Killer, killer, zinger, banger, yes, highlight that,"
Yeah.
where I'm like,
Yeah.
"How did that come out of me?"
It's so funny that you say that because I feel like I've had a really similar experience where it's like a lot of the time I will not think of line level and most of it, like 90% of it is mediocre.
Mhm.
Maybe 7% is like, oh, banger. 3% is like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Excuse me, what? And so it's so funny you say that because like, yeah, 100% I feel like I've experienced something similar. And sometimes I feel like there's something to be said for not overthinking it and just
Yeah.
let it flow out. But I do notice, especially in first person, because you're writing in first person for Helen, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I notice when I'm not thinking about it, I will start a lot of sentences with I, and it can get like really repetitive. And that is something that I'm so like cognizant of that I will absolutely need to be going in and restructuring in that way.
And in the first draft especially, I've noticed because now, especially, like, when I read back a scene before going to the next one, I start
Yeah.
so many sentences with conjunctions. I'm like, what am I doing? We can't start a sentence with but I do. I
I
do.
love doing.
Apparently, me too. That could be a good sticker. I love starting sentences with conjunctions.
I love it. There's something you're just like, I have something to say. Like, I feel like that's just the vibe of every conjunction starting sentence, but it's so good.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that and, like, prepositions kill me. I'm
Mm,
like, "Yeah, let me just start a sentence with that." But you're right,
yeah.
because I writing in first person, I mean, but writing in third too. 'cause then
Yeah.
you're always saying the person's name. I feel like
Yeah.
when you are, like, really where you can't see the forest through the trees because you're staring at your page and you're like, "I only see I. Why am I
I
saying it 1,000 times on this page?" And it drives me mad.
Well, I think that's a good segue to what have you been working on this week?
LOL, we're still trudging through, but I made a plan, and
Yes.
I even told the girlies, I was like, "I feel confident
Yes.
putting out in the universe that I can finish draft 1 by the end of this year if I just write every
Yes.
day."
We believe in you. Yay.
I have missed 2 days, so we gotta make those up,
It's fine.
but it's okay, it's okay. I have a plan, I feel better, I feel like I did the math, even though, because I
Yeah.
was trying not to look at word count for, like, so long. I still don't really even
Mhm.
remember. I don't remember word count-wise, like, where I am Scrivener, because 'cause I've
Yeah.
literally been hiding it from Scrivener. I'm like,
Good.
"Don't look at it." I hate that little progress bar at the top. I'm like, "Go away. I don't wanna know." But
You
I
know, I always, like, equate the progress bar in Scrivener to is, like, you're on a treadmill and you, like, see how much longer you have to do, and people are like, "Just cover it with a towel, cover it with your
yes,
phone, cover it with anything so you just don't know."
just don't
Like,
look at
that's
it.
how I think of that Scrivener total word count.
Mhm. Yes, no, so I've been covering it because people are always like, "Where are you in the book?" Like, "What word count?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know, and I'm not gonna look." It's how I feel when I go to the doctor and they're like, "Step on the scale," and I'm like, "Literally never tell me this number ever in my life. I don't wanna know."
Right. Like, let me look the opposite
I
direction.
do, and I do, and I live in peace for it.
What?
So I do the same thing with my Scrivener document,
Yeah.
but I did look and I tried to break it down in sizable chunks, and so I have, like, how many words I can get, like, every day, but when I start to write, I don't think about it. I'm just
Good.
writing, and then I'll look and I'm like, "Okay, if I need to write more words, then we'll continue." So I'm still trying to, like, make it light and fun and airy, but yeah, we have a plan. We are going to finish by the end of the year. I'm gonna put it out there now. And then I'm kind of excited to not look at it. That's gonna definitely be my plan. I usually don't listen to that. I'm gonna listen. This book has given me hell.
I know.
And I have another fun little idea that's been
That you want
gnawing at my brain.
there or, like, a separate project?
Wait, what was that?
A fun little idea, like, you wanna put in the book
Oh,
to add or a separate project?
separate
New
project.
project, fun little idea.
New shiny project.
Exciting. I'm really proud of you for being like, "No, I'm absolutely gonna put it down," because I feel like
Yeah,
you've been rearing your head to, like, "I wanna go into editing mode."
I
Like,
do.
editing Mick is like, "Hold me back, like, let me at him," you know what I
Literally.
mean? And so so I'm
Literally.
proud of you for being like, "No, like, I'm really gonna let it sit, and, like, I'm gonna go work on this other project to
Thank you.
fill my time."
I also just feel like this project has been it's been with me for so long. It's
Yeah,
very personal in a lot of ways, and I think we
yeah.
talked about this on a previous episode that both of our ideas are very ambitious,
Mm,
and so I fret so much more with this idea than I
yeah,
have in any other project, so I think it will be good to put it down, one, so I can come back, like, with a clearer head, but to pick up a new project where I have worked on a little bit this year when I, like, was getting sick of this book, I'd, like, write a little bit here and
yeah.
there from this new project, but it just feels way more fun because it's personal too, like, everything I write has, like, very personal roots, but it doesn't feel as much like a part of me as this current book does, it feels way
Yeah,
more fun. And
yeah.
so I think it'll be kind of cool to jump into drafting a completely new world with completely new characters that feels more fun. And I want to kind of see if my writing process changes a bit.
That'll be curious.
Yeah.
There really is something to be said about, like, starting a new project and how fun that is, and
Mhm.
how it really makes you reconnect to the creative process because there's just, like, so much I don't wanna say baggage, but I wanna say baggage
Yeah.
with, like, projects that you've been working on for I mean, I think we've both been working on our current projects for over a year.
Yes.
I think almost I think I've been almost at a 2-year mark. I don't know if you're over, like, a year and a half, but
In like a year and a half.
A year and a half, yeah. So, like, there's just, like, a lot of time and energy and care spent, but there's also a lot of frustration, and so it's kind of nice to just be, like, bopping around in new project land, like, full of potential and ideas and fun.
Yes. Yay. So, what have you been working on?
Um, why every week we're like,
I don't
"What
know,
have"
but I giggle
it's like
every
the
time.
dreaded question. Okay, so I basically reverse outlined everything that I have so far. So I'm halfway into the book. I'm like almost at the midpoint, basically, which is great. And I'm really happy about it. But there's something about Act 2A that just like isn't sitting right with me. And part of my struggle right now is like, I think I've restructured and figured out actually how I want Act 2A to go. But it means that there's several scenes that need to be like rewritten. And to do that, that will take time. And I think I have the patience for it where I can like go in, write those drafts. I think maybe the book will be stronger for it, that like I will have done this so that during my read through, it's just like actually the book and how I feel like it should be rather than like I'll have to go into revisions and my read through knowing that there's this like major chunk of an act that needs to be rewritten. Like that doesn't seem super appealing to me. So I feel like I'm basically rewriting half of Act 2A for a third time, which sucks. And I am not thrilled with, but at the same time, like, I don't think I'm spinning my wheels and making edits that aren't making the book stronger. Like, I do think for a variety of different reasons, like the character dynamics, the progression of the plot, the tension buildup, like, I think so, like, all of those things definitely feel stronger. Um, if I kind of do it this way and I can still like I'm still keeping like a couple of major areas and like scenes and there's just like kind of a couple filler scenes that I need to write, but it just really feels glacial
Got it. So wait, glacial in progress or glacial in pacing?
progress.
Progress.
Definitely
Yeah.
glacial in progress. Yeah.
Okay, so you said you're adding some scenes then
Adding some
and then
scenes.
rewriting some.
I'm adding some scenes, but I'm also like kind of cutting some scenes in half and putting them in different places. So I think like in total I will have to write like 2 or 3 more scenes, but like have to reshuffle them from prior scenes that I had just written.
So outside of reverse outlining, or if it's in tandem with this, how do you evaluate an act
Yeah.
and realize what you need or don't need? Are you going off of like story beats? Are you going off of cause and effect? Are you going off of like you're reading it and you're like, "Ooh, I'm missing like a connector scene." How do you do that?
Wow, that's such a good question. I feel like I feel like it's like I really feel like it's just like a gut. I feel like it's I'm reading it and it feels like there's something structurally missing. And I feel like there's things that have to happen for certain things later to feel impactful now. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like thinking about cause and effect of like what scenes I know are to come. Um, and how basically like this portion of this draft really needs to build up like these character relationships in order for that to feel impactful. And like right now, this act or these couple scenes are not doing that in the way that I needed to. And so like really thinking about like, okay, then how can I take all of the information that I have in these scenes that make it revolve around building these character relationships so that like these characters can get close so that like the midpoint can then hit and they're at a relationship, they're at a progression in their relationship for that midpoint to like hit the way that I need it to. Does that make any sense?
That makes a lot of sense. I
Yeah.
think it goes along with what you said last week of like making things book shaped. Like
Yeah.
now you're adding in more of those, you're connecting the character to its character arc, you're
Yeah.
adding the character development with relationships.
Yeah.
How, because I'm just thinking about like myself too, because we were talking like last week about it. I think last week. I don't
Yeah.
know. I also like right now draft one bare bones. Like these
Yeah.
characters are not connected in any way, shape, or form. When you're reading a scene then now and you realize that your characters aren't close enough to make something feel like a payoff, how are you making them closer? Like, are you adding in more dialogue or are you adding in like problems that they have to overcome? Like,
Yeah.
what's your angle for making them feel closer?
Such a good question. Okay, so I feel like I sketched out there's 3 characters that I need to like work as a trio basically, and I need them to like really get close. And so the 3 of them, I basically like mapped out all of their lies. I mapped up I mapped out their character arc starting points, and I mapped out their character arc end points of like what character progression like I need to see for all of them. And then I kind of was like looking at the 3 lies or like misbeliefs of each of the characters. And I feel like a lot of character dynamics and like relationships. This is really tricky because I have a really hard time with this. So I actually don't know if my advice on this is going to change in like a week. But
It's okay. That is writing advice.
yeah. But I feel like a lot of the relationships that I really love to see in books and media are like when like different insecurities or different personalities like kind of between different people kind of like mesh together and they like push each other's buttons of like that lie or misbelief that they have and they like force them to question them, right? So it's like let's say a character has like this misbelief that like ice cream is disgusting. First thing that comes
Horrible
to mind,
misbelief on their character
horrible
part.
misbelief. And character B is like ice cream is the most amazing thing, whole world. Let me show you why. And then it's like that dynamic of like let me show you why, but it's like fictionalized in this way of like them poking and prodding at each other's misbeliefs until they like start questioning it. Like I'm trying to think about it from that perspective so that like what the character wants in the scene like kind of butts heads with each other and that they can like question and like push each other in different ways to like either like open up and share more things so they can learn more things about each other so that they can like get closer. But honestly, I have no idea what I'm doing. So,
I mean, from my perspective, it sounds like you do. I think that makes a lot of sense of like
yeah.
having them push each other. And I guess so you're saying like you need them through dialogue or action to like push them into more vulnerable spaces. So you're
Yeah,
forcing them to be vulnerable with each other.
exactly. So
Right.
like for example, there's this duo that kind of like pairs off in my book. And then they work together for like a little bit and then like the third person comes in later.
Mhm.
But I had that person come in like way later after things had been figured out. And so then it's like, then you just have the duo, you don't have the trio. And I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't work. So let's bring in this person earlier. So then, like, this person that comes in later anyway can then be a key reason why they figure this one thing out. And then they can start to like trot along as a trio. So it's also like logistical, like, when are they
Yeah.
coming in and why? And like, how can they help the group progress towards the group's like end goals to like then bond them even further.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I feel like with the relationship building, it's, I don't know if you feel the same. It feels clunky to me sometimes to write the relationships where people are like meeting for the first time.
Yeah.
And then you have to build a bond over like a chapter or two. You have like very small
I know.
like word space to do that
Yeah.
because I don't want it to feel cliche. And I don't want it to be like, oh, all of a sudden they're best friends. Like that doesn't usually happen. Like it can happen, but like it is, I don't know. I don't want anything to come off cliche. So I feel like that is like a really hard relationship to write because aren't your duo meets too, right? For the first
Yeah, yeah,
time and
yeah.
then they have to get close to work
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's a harder because like in my book, I have Helen and her best friend Zoya. I love writing them because they are a long-standing relationship. So
Yeah.
there's something so interesting about writing characters who know each other well before the reader knows them because you
Yeah.
can play off of like their history and their own baggage and how they see each other and maybe different versions of each other.
Yeah. And also, like, you can do so much character building, like,
So
in the
much.
backstory, like,
Mhm.
through that kind of long-term relationship like that.
And then she has to meet all these people and somehow like them, like, spoiler alert, better than her best friend
Yeah.
is rough city. Like, I feel like that is it's hard to develop. But I like what you said about that's, like, a really good point of pushing each other into vulnerable spaces. So, yeah, you're forcing the characters to kind of open up or be in an uncomfortable environment and have to lean on the other in
Yes.
order to get closer,
Yes.
because that will force people closer, for sure.
And I think that's, like yes, 100%, and I think that that's the hardest part too, is, like, I have a really hard time with character, just, like, period, I think, and so, um which we've spoken about.
Yeah, I was like, "Same, same, same, same."
But I think the thing is also, like, even in normal human relationships, like, people don't tend to get close, like, if you're just sitting at a table talking. Like, I think people tend to get close. It's like, "Okay, like, let's go do something together. Like, let's go
Yeah,
play this game together, or let's go, like, work on this project together." It's like giving them something that they need to work on together so that they can, like, problem solve together, I feel like is a really great way to get characters to bond. And also, like, for example, one my main character, like, one of her strongest personalities traits and also, like, one of her pitfalls is, like, she's hyper competent, which means that she, like,
mm,
doesn't want to accept help from anybody, but
mhm,
something that happens in this book means that she's no longer hyper competent and she actually, like, needs help from people, and so it's like, how can you take that, like, main personality trait, take it down a notch so that, like, something has to slot in there, and also give them something that they need to solve together with somebody that's gonna, like, push at that hyper confident button, you know?
yeah. That I think that's
It's
great
hard.
advice.
Yeah.
I agree with you, though, that character is difficult. I feel like it doesn't come to us in the beginning because you and
Yeah.
I talk and think a lot about character arcs. And so I think it takes a lot of work on my end. Like, I just don't feel like I'm intuitive with my characters in the first draft or even second. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like, at least for me, I know where they're going to start and I know where they're going to end. That's like the basics. And then I just run with them. And as I
Yeah.
write, they like become fully formed humans. And
Yeah.
then every draft, I have to, like, flesh out their character arc a little bit
Yeah.
more and slot everything in, but now you're making me think, I'm like, I don't think my characters do enough together.
Yeah, maybe, like, making, like, problem solving, like or just, like, small little missions that they can do together. Do you feel like when you say you're running with them, do you feel like you're picking up on, like, small little nuances of their personalities, like, as you write them, as you draft them? Or do you feel like they really do feel kind of more malleable, like you can make them into whoever you want them to be?
I feel like they're not fully formed, but they do become more people-like as
Yeah.
I go through the first draft because I kind of make up in the first couple scenes and chapters especially how they would act in a certain situation, and then that kind
Mm,
of informs how I write them for, like, the rest of the draft, and as they keep reacting to different things or taking action, it, like, informs me who they are, just because
mm.
I have never done well with, like, if I fully create a character first, like, fully do all the deep character work, I actually feel like my characters come out a little bit more caricature-like.
Yes. I completely agree.
Yeah. Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one because I feel like if I focus too much on, like, here are their 3 quirky traits, and here's, like, all their stuff that, like, their misbelief and the lie and then what they hold dear and their backstory, like, if I do that all in the beginning, I feel like I write my character into a box, whereas I just feel like people I was just talking about this with an author that I interviewed. Oh, with Kaylee Faye about her new
Yeah.
debut, Skin of Gold. And we were talking about how you can, like, kind of back yourself into a corner with, like, tropes of, like, oh, you have like the funny friend who's like really goofy and funny. But I'm like, is it really realistic though for the funny friend to actually be cracking that many jokes in like a life-threatening situation all the
Yeah.
time? Or like, is that the moment that like they break character and you see a
Mhm.
completely different side of them? And she was talking about how that's the key is to like figure out, you know, the persona that your character puts on, but then their breaking points. And everyone has different breaking points. And it's
Mm.
just people are more nuanced than sometimes we write them on the page. And so I think it's better for me to like be more intuitive as I
Yeah.
write because I think it makes them a little bit more well-rounded than if I personally figured them all out at the beginning.
100% completely agree. Also have found that, like, even if I feel like in the very, very beginning of my writing journey, I was like, character booklets and let's answer all these questions about their favorite colors and foods and all of that. And I remember being like, does this matter? And then like even doing it as a thought exercise, then I would actually start writing them and I'd be like, this is a completely different person. Like this is not. So I think there is something to like intuiting it as you're writing. And I think that's something that's actually like really similar to like how I've done it is like I only know the misbelief and the lie and all of that stuff because I've done
Right.
multiple drafts and it's become clear to me. But like even until recently, like I couldn't put my finger on it
Mhm.
until I had to like explicitly like pull it out. So yeah, I think that's a really valid point.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I yeah, that you I haven't even really understood the misbelief until yeah, now I'm writing like the end, like all the climactic parts of my book. And I think that is really also what's showing me who these people are because it's like all their actions are now culminating into this ending point
Yeah.
and it's just yeah, it's easier for me to reverse engineer my characters
Mm.
than to engineer everything from the beginning. And this is how now we both have become an insane plotter to like crazy pantsers because like
Mhm.
I just realized, especially with this story, like last year, I tried so hard to like plot everything so thoroughly, but then I wouldn't work on it because I thought I wrote the book. And then I would like plan everything out. But when it came out, I'm like, it's so cookie cutter. Like I'm like following
Mhm.
the rules, quote, that I set up for myself in the beginning. And it's not fun and it doesn't feel like it's a living, breathing thing. And these people don't feel as real. So that's why I've
Yeah.
really moved into just like trying to pants as much as possible,
Yeah.
without fully pantsing because I think I would lose my mind. We'll see. I might pants the new project I've been thinking of like completely, like
Ooh. Yeah.
no prep, just diving
Yeah.
in. I think I kind of want to because you do that,
Oh yeah.
and I kind of want to test out those waters, see if that would really help.
Yeah. So okay, actually I've been noodling with this like sci-fi project. Like that's just been sitting in my head for like 6 months. And I'll have like little tidbits that come to me and I'll just like write them down and all that. And I was just like, I think not having fun with Pretend the Earth Doesn't Call. And I was like, let me just like try to write this idea. It's like I have a name for it. I have the idea for it. Like I know what I want the starting scene to look like. I really know what I want the ending scene to look like. And I started writing the first scene and Mick, something in my brain broke. Like the pantser in me, something in my brain broke. And I was just like, I need to know what this main plot through line is before I can write the
Interesting.
story. And I don't know. It was really weird. I was like, wait, this is antithetical to the entire pantsing side of my brain. And I'm like, okay, like, do I just like continue on and just like see what happens? Or like, do I take a minute and
Ooh.
like actually think about it? I don't know.
That's
So,
interesting. That's that supports my theory that I think every project needs something different
yeah,
from you. And I
yeah,
don't know. I don't know if that's real because then you get into like career authors who are like, I have a very strict process and like
yeah.
I do this every single time. But maybe for people like you and me, then maybe we're little outliers. Let us know. Let us know if you guys feel this way too. But I feel like I, every project takes different parts of me, takes a different process, different angles to
Yeah.
get out. So maybe you plot this one.
I don't know if I'm gonna plot it. I think I just need to know, like, what the main big problem that is that they're trying to solve.
You need like
But
goalposts.
yeah, but, like, for you, it's like, if you're down to pants, like, absolutely pants. I think pantsing is so rewarding, and
Mm,
honestly, like, I might still pants this book even if I don't have the answer to that question, because maybe in the process of pantsing it, that question will be answered, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So, I'm all for you pantsing that new shiny project. I
We'll
support you.
see. I'm a vibes writer. Like I have a Pinterest board, I have a playlist. I'm like,
Ooh,
"Ooh, I know the vibes, I have a setting." Again,
yes.
I have character relationships, but, like, do I have the characters? Not really. Do I have, like, the
Yeah.
main problem? Not really.
Who needs one? So this week we are reading um, an article, "The State of Traditional Publishing." It's from Kelly's Substack, Kelly Beck, who is an author.
Yes.
And we will put the link of this article down below. And Mick, did you say that she is an indie author or a trad author?
No, she actually is a trad author. It looks like she has an agent and her book right now is on sub. So,
Amazing.
yes.
Okay. So it seems like this article is essentially, I mean, the title is called "The State of Traditional Publishing." And it's this really interesting breakdown into how the publishing industry is really changing, because we used to have this kind of dichotomy between traditional publishing and self publishing, where generally, if you were ever self published, like, you would never then cross lines into the traditional publishing sphere. But now, something that we're seeing is uh, actually they cross over quite frequently, and it was something like 50% of romance authors on specific lists were actually originally self-published authors, and quite a few authors that have been self-pubbed have actually been, like, seeked out by agents to become traditionally published. So, like, I actually think the book that I'm reading this week, I think Andy Weir was originally a
Oh.
self-pubbed author and then got a traditional publishing deal. But I think the same was, like, true for a variety of authors, I think.
Not only has the lines now been broken, which I think is a great thing, because I think it's kind of crazy that before indie pubbing used to like what's the word?
It would kinda mean that
What's
you
the word?
had siloed yourself into self-pubbing, and, like, there
Yeah,
would not necessarily be a traditional publishing route for you if you had
right.
gone the EPUB route.
But now like that is not the case, which is amazing.
Mm,
But what's also shifted is more agents and editors and publishing houses are looking for self-pub projects to take traditionally published,
yes.
which is really interesting. So in this article, she just listed, and when was this published? October 2025, so recent, but
Yeah.
at this time, like some of the bestsellers that were self-pub authors are like Lila Sage, B.K. Borison, Sen Lin Yu, Elsie Silver, Callie Hart, Lauren Roberts, Devney Perry, etc. So there's a long list of people on the bestseller list that were all self-pub authors first. I've
Yeah.
even seen someone that I've been following for a long time. I interviewed her on Pentapod for season 1, H.M. Wolf was publishing a series, Self Pub, and she just released Daggermouth, which I'm so excited to
Mhm.
read. And she got picked up by an agent and a publisher. And
Amazing.
Daggermouth got published, I believe, Self Pub like this month, but it's
Oh,
going to be published traditionally for the UK market. I
exciting.
know. And then her next book will be traditionally published. So that's even happening where it's like, we'll take your book globally for you
Yeah.
in the traditional sphere, and then we'll sign you on for your next project that you have coming down the pipeline, which is
Yeah.
just really interesting.
It is really interesting, and it kind of makes sense, and I feel like there was a paper referenced in this article, which is "The publishing industry has a gambling problem," which did we talk about on this podcast? I don't
I don't
remember if
think
we
so
did.
because it was going viral. I feel like all of my friends were like sharing it to
Yeah.
their stories.
Yeah.
And, like, every author I follow is, like, sharing it to their stories a couple months before we started this podcast.
Okay. So, yeah, so that article was getting, like, really heavily circulated, and I think that all of the things that are referenced in this Substack article actually really closely mirror what was being said in that
Yeah,
publishing industry has a gambling problem article, because I think it's very clear. It's like agents and publishers, they want very low stakes, high success
yes.
options. And so if you have indie authors who are churning and who have multiple books behind their belt and who have readers, have the reviews, it's kind of like a win-win for both in a lot of ways, right? Like,
Mhm.
you then get the clout and the team behind you of a traditionally published career after you've been indie published for so long. And then the publisher kind of just gets built-in readers already that have been following this indie
Yeah,
published author. And so it kind of makes sense, right? They're self-selecting for the successes based off of the indie pub market already.
yeah. Yeah, it's definitely it is interesting. It's a little, I'll be honest, disheartening, scary
Yeah.
in some ways, amazing, I think, in every other way for everyone
Mhm.
else, and, like,
Yeah.
scary for, like, my own personal experience because I personally didn't want and don't
Yeah.
know if I have the chops to indie publish. I think everyone who indie pubs is a frickin' god. I'm like, "You guys are miracle workers. You have to do everything." Like, you are putting up the capital to get it edited. You are putting up the capital to get the book cover that you want. You are the art director, the marketing director, the editor,
Yeah.
like, you are every hat, and it very
Yeah.
much is a business, and I think it is so incredible that people are indie pubbing. I was like, "I don't know if I can do that." I feel like I would get stressed
Yeah.
out, or I
Yeah.
wouldn't hit my own self-imposed deadlines because 'cause I'm bad at hitting my own self-imposed deadlines. I'm better at
Right.
people telling me to do something, and then I do it.
Yeah.
So it is like it's interesting and a little scary that, publishing is moving into this. And it was talked about in that Walrus article of publishing industry as a gambling problem where a lot more agents and publishers are not wanting to take the gamble
Yeah.
on unknown people.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't mean that debuts are not getting deals, they are, but it is a lot less frequent, and I think at the
Mhm.
very end of the article gave kind of a scary stat, but I think
Yeah.
good to always hear, like, the realities of it. It was from Rochelle_literary_agent on Threads, so I don't see her full name, but it said this was in March of 2025, and she put out saying, "Please take these numbers with a grain of salt as they're meant to be explanatory and not perfectly accurate." But a conversation yesterday revealed that an acquiring editor at a publishing house used to get 600 submissions from agents a year, which is already insane.
It's insane.
And now they get 1,200. So it has doubled and they are overwhelmed. This editor, this is the scary part, acquires 4 books a year. And so
Whew.
they say it's not hard to
Right.
see why so many books die on submission, and it feels like every
That's
book published is a miracle.
that's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have a 0.6%, you had a 0.6% chance of getting published. I really hope this math is right, because that's really embarrassing if it's not. Yeah, and now you have a point 0.3 chance,
Love
0.3%
those
chance.
odds.
Those are crazy stats,
Yes, and
actually.
I don't think it gets talked about enough. I think I'm fortunate to be following a lot of authors who are very vulnerable with things that die on sub, and I don't know if it's, like, prepped enough for people going into the
Yeah,
query trenches that, like, you can work so hard,
yeah,
write this book, land an
yeah,
agent who also loves it, edit it
yeah,
with your agent, put it out on sub, and it die,
yeah,
which is crazy, but I think what's hopeful, at least about that route, I feel like in the past, it was like, "Okay, it's dead and done in the water, give me
yeah,
something new," but what this
yeah,
article said was, like, it actually opens up a new avenue, so this is, like, the hopeful part, that, like, if you have a project that dies on sub, self-pub it. Like, if your agent backs that decision, you can
you can just
self-publish
tell.
that book, And potentially, if it gains the readership, then a publishing house, if you get on submission with another book, could pick up your backlist title as well.
Interesting. That's really interesting. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It
It
makes sense
does.
to me because you pour so much love and energy and time into writing a book. And like, if a book dies on sub, like, that doesn't necessarily mean it's like not a book for the masses. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
It's like I've been thinking about this a lot actually because like listen, I don't have a agent, not on sub, like none of those things, but I've been thinking about it a lot where I feel like there's very different feedback loops in
Mm,
indie pub versus trad pub. And so for indie pub, I think you're doing a lot of work to like prep for the book, exactly like you were saying, Mick, like getting an editor, paying for that editor, getting the artwork, making sure the book is at quality enough to like feel confident enough to self pub it. But then you have access to like all of your data and you are in control of all of your data. Whereas like if you go the trad pub route and let's say you're lucky enough to query, get an agent, go on sub, get published, like I think the bottlenecks
mm,
in self pub versus trad pub are very different. So it's like in trad pub, if let's say that first debut, which I think is part of what that article, the publishing industry has a gambling problem, like if you don't do well enough, like with your debut, with your sales, like you could basically get kind of like shut down
mm.
by your publisher because like the numbers weren't high enough or whatever it is,
Right.
which is like a really terrible bottle.
Yes.
Whereas like for self pub, I think it's a different bottleneck, which is just like, are you getting enough readers to your book to read those pages? But you don't necessarily like have any, you know, publishing house to kind of be like, actually, we're gonna print less of your next book because it didn't necessarily like do as well. Like
Mm,
you are because you are everything in self pub, like you are able to be like, no, we're going to write another book and just like do the same marketing strategy as like we did
yeah.
before. You know, like I think it's very different cuz like self pub it's very there's just no hierarchy in that capacity because you are king of everything. But in trad pub, like you have a hierarchy of a team, which is like part of the beauty of being in trad pub is like you have an editor and you have artists and you have people who like run those numbers and like back the funding and all that stuff. But like, you know, it's also possible that like it doesn't go the way that you want it to go. And that is like
Yeah.
a really terrifying prospect. And I feel like that article, the gambling problem article, like really highlighted that like a lot of debuts like really struggle post debut. And that sucks. I'm
Yeah.
sorry I'm being so negative, but yeah.
No, I mean, you could go the traditional route, get paired with a team, get acquired, but not be prioritized
Yeah.
by the publisher in the same way that you would prioritize obviously your work if you're indie pubbing. So like you could go the traditional route, but you could be already in the publisher's mind like this is going to be a mid-list book. And so we're not going to have a marketing budget. So you could still be paying out of pocket, which a lot of authors still do even on a not mid-list book
Yeah.
for like a PR person or marketing
Mhm.
yourself. All
Yeah.
of it is a gamble, it seems like even on our side, not just the
Yeah.
traditional publisher side, but no matter if you indie pub or trad pub, it's like all of it is a gamble. There are just so many books. And I listened to the podcast, The Shit No One Tells You About Writing, with the two agents, and they talk a lot about like the main issue really is like there aren't enough readers, which sounds crazy because like we're in little groups on the internet where
Yeah.
everyone's reading.
Yeah.
But it's true. It's like there's so many books coming out, but there's not
Yeah.
enough people to read them. So I understand like the hesitancy on a business standpoint from traditional publishers to gamble on a debut author. It
Yeah.
sucks to hear
Yeah.
as someone who wants to go the traditional publishing route, but it is hopeful to see that you could go a self pub route and get recognized by a traditional publisher if that's what you
Yeah.
wanted eventually.
100%. And I think for me, like, I've thought about it a lot where I'm like, I absolutely, like, would love to try the traditional publishing route, but, like, I would totally do indie too. Like, if there was too much resistance, if it didn't work out for one book, whatever it is, like, at the end of the day, like, I do just want my stories kind of
Yeah,
out there. And I'm also, like, a very delicate, sensitive little flower, and, like, I don't know if, like, I have the skin thick enough for the traditional publishing industry.
that's so fair.
Yeah. And so I've been thinking about it a lot. Is like, I'm never gonna write off indie publishing, especially because I feel like without that, like, external pressure from, like, a publishing house, like, maybe I'll have a better relationship to my writing even. But at the same time, I think the take home that I took away from these articles is just, like, just write and write, like, the best books that you can. And,
Yeah,
like, of course, you can hope for the best, but it's like most authors don't achieve success. I think they reference here, it's like 3 to 5 books in plus, is like when authors actually start taking off a little bit more. And so, like, that is years. That's like a decade of
mhm,
work probably. And so it's just like, keep writing, write as much as you can, enjoy it as much as you can, because it's a long road. Like, 1 book does not make a career. 2 books does not even make a career,
yeah.
you know?
No, that's true, and I think the reason why indie pub scares me, I
Uh,
would also, like, if Bones dies a flaming death in the very trenches or in the sub, like, I would still want it out there because it's also taken so much out of me, like, I made this piece of art, I just put it out in the world, but
yeah.
I I hate being online so
Mm.
much.
Nick, you're so good at it.
No, I'm really not. I'm, like, so inconsistent because I hate being there. I hate being in the spaces, and so I think that's
Yeah.
what scares me too is, like, we are continually barreling towards, like, people with platforms getting prioritized
Yeah.
over necessarily potentially, like, the best book out there,
Yeah.
and it really is about who you are online, which I hate.
I
But
know.
I don't know, maybe we can all come up with a better system for all of us because it seems like everyone's kinda over the current social media systems anyways as, like, a collective. So I hope we
Yeah.
can figure out something new and potentially better, but I think
Yeah.
it does come down to, like you said, keep writing, and like you've said before in prior episodes of, like, knowing your why, and that
Mm.
has to be the main thing that keeps you
Yeah.
going, not a publishing deal, not an agent, not hitting the New York Times bestseller list, and it's not like don't not dream, dream big,
Yeah. Of
but
course.
at the end of the day, it has to be something that you love doing for your personal why, or what the hell are we doing?
Oh, and I know. I do really think, like, absolutely what you're saying is spot on with, you know, larger platforms, you get more reach. But I also do think there's something to be said for, like, if you write a really good book,
Mhm.
like, people will flock to it. And so it's just like, just do the best you can. And like, if you enjoy reading it, like, other people will enjoy reading it. And also, like, I don't think anybody gets into writing to become, like, rich and famous.
No.
And if you have, I am so sorry, not
This may not be the route for you.
not the hobby, not the career path for you. But yeah, I think it's a little daunting and it's a little scary. And I do think the industry is probably going to wind up changing. And obviously, like, I'm not a publishing industry professional in any way. Like, I just know a couple things because I'm like, would like to be there someday. But, and I'm
Right.
sure tons of other folks, like, have much more insight and interesting things to say about it. But, you know, social media has changed so much. I mean, just like with the rise of book talk and, like, Instagram communities of readers and
Mhm.
writers, all of those things. And so it's just going to be really interesting to see, like, how things evolve because it's never stagnant and it's always going to be changing.
Always changing. Fun. Have fun.
So fun.
So fun.
But I mean, honestly, yeah, I think it's really hard to think about this stuff because I tend to get really doom and gloom about, like, big picture stuff. And
Mm,
I tend to do better when I'm thinking of like, I just need to show up and write today. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah,
think it's good to keep your finger on the pulse and to
it
know
is.
what is happening around you. But it's also like, if it bogs you down and keeps you from writing, like, check in.
Mhm.
Why are you writing in the first place? Like, I sit down to write because I really enjoy it. I enjoy the process. I like how it pushes my brain. And publishing really terrifies me. And so I try not to think about it. And I will just put my head in a hole and I am okay with that.
Yeah, I think the time you and I get to the query trenches, we're gonna need, like, sedated. Someone sedate us for, like, 3 months to 3 years and let us know how it goes when we wake up.
I will not be well.
I'll
I will
be
be very unwell.
I know we're gonna need to, like, practice a lot of self-care, and so we're, like, firm in it once we hit the query trenches because
I know.
rejection is hard, but it's a part of art. Art is subjective, but it is also good to remind ourselves, like, with this kind of doom and gloomy article, there is a lot of hope because it's like, it's not you, it's the industry.
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
there's so many people out there going after the same dream, which I think is so beautiful and great, and I mean, there are definitely industry problems with maybe, who is getting prioritized over who that we can all work
Yes,
to fight against. But in
absolutely.
general, I feel like you could have some solace in knowing, like, okay, this person is getting like how many, emails in
Mm.
their inbox and having to sort through them. So,
100%. And I also think, like, on a positive note, like, more people are making a career out of writing than, like, ever before.
yes,
And
absolutely.
that's and I'm so curious for, like, listeners, like, let us know in the comments, like, are you seeking traditional publishing? Are
Mm,
you seeking self-publishing? Are you already one of either? Like, I'm just so curious and, like, how you feel about those paths and the pros and cons, and yeah, I would just love to hear thoughts.
yeah. Let us know what path you're taking, and we'll keep you
Mm.
updated if our paths change.
I really debate about it, like, frequently. I'm like,
I'm just scared.
it's so
It's a lot
scary."
of work. I just feel like it's a lot more work. For me, I'm a bad self-motivator. That's something I have to work on.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Same, girl. Same.
Yeah.
I get you. And with that,
And with that, I was waiting for one of us to say it. We keep being, "Well," and with that, see you
we'll see you
later.
next week.
Uh, Thanks for listening to Craft and Crashouts, a weekly podcast by Ari and Mick. If you liked this episode, be sure to follow along wherever you are listening to stay up to date for the next one. If you want to submit your crash out for the show, DM us at Craft and Crashouts on Instagram or email us at craftandcrashouts@gmail.com. Feel free to send us a voice note in either format. We'll talk to you next week with more craft talk and definitely more crash outs.